running under the theme Opposing Views, Same Goal, unleashing innovative solutions for sustainable development. Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome. This is the 7th edition of the SASI Debate Challenge, proudly brought to you by SAYWHAT and supported by the Swedish Embassy in Zimbabwe. My name is Miss Jones, and I am your debate mistress. Joining me today in studio are 4 prestigious universities. Teams, please make yourselves known, starting from podium 1 all the way to podium 4.
Hello, I am Sean from Chinhoyi University of Technology.
Hello, I'm Ropa Fadzo from Chinhoyi University of Technology.
Hello, my name is Aninya Ashi and I'm from Bindura University of Science and Learning.
Hi, I am Monatsiri. I'm from Bindura University of Science Education.
Hi, I'm Tari from Great Zimbabwe University.
Hello, I'm Fian, also from Great Zimbabwe University.
Hi, I'm Nombulelo, here with Adine from NUST University.
Now that we're well acquainted, welcome aboard. Let the games begin. This debate follows the British parliamentary style. The rules are, each participant to be given exactly 4 minutes to present their case. Points of information are allowed. However, if your POI has been rejected, you have to wait for exactly 30 seconds before requesting for a second opportunity. With that being said, the motion reads, this House prefers a focus on societal factors, that is, socio-economic factors, as opposed to individual factors, that is, personal history, when addressing the causes and consequences of mental health issues. This House prefers a focus on societal factors, that is, socio-economic factors, as opposed to individual factors, that is, personal history, when addressing causes and consequences of mental health. The motion has been stated. Prime Minister, the ball is now in your court.
Ladies and gentlemen, as government side, we prefer a focus on societal factors where we talk about issues such as socio-economic factors, when we talk about employment, food security, housing, discrimination, prejudice, right? And we prefer this over issues that have to do with individual factors when addressing the causes and the consequences of mental health, right? So, first of all, we have seen a huge increase in mental health illnesses over the past few years. And what we have also seen is an increase in social ills and societal factors, right? We have seen things such as climate change, which have brought about relocations, which have brought about uncertainty, depression, and all of those other negative issues. We have also seen issues such as poverty, where we see youth unemployment increasing, and where we see mental health issues primarily amongst people from the ages of 18 to 25 years, right? So we then recognize this as a huge factor contributing to mental health challenges and why it's important for us to then focus on it more over individual aspects, right? Let's talk about the nature of these social ills, right? The variable and invariable aspects of mental health. We look at how socioeconomic issues create new mental health patients as opposed to individual trauma or individual cases, where we see people who are already suffering from individual issues are more of a constant number, right? But then socioeconomic issues continuously bring about new mental health patients. And we believe that if we can focus on that, then we can also get the reduction of patients, and then we can also get a more stabilized and permanent solutions for people, right? We also look at things such as the risk of relapse. When a person who's suffering from individual mental health issues, such as childhood trauma, things such as hereditary aspects or biological aspects, right? And then they get treated, and then they're put back into a society or an environment where they get exposed to some societal ills that bring them back into a space of mental health illness, right? So we believe that it's much easier for us when we focus more of our attention on societal factors, because only then do we get a more stable and permanent solutions for people. And then we also talk about how socioeconomic factors not only bring about new patients, but they also exacerbate existing mental health patients, right? People that are suffering from mental health problems that are because of their biological aspect or because of hereditary reasons can then have even worse implications of mental health challenges or worse mental health experiences because of some of those societal factors. So we believe it's more important that we channel our energy on addressing the societal factors in as much as we take into consideration of these issues such as individual factors. Yes, you're taken.
Please show to us how someone who's suffering from trauma of being raped by their father is going to benefit from societal factors that you're mentioning about.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not saying we're not going to treat people who are suffering from individual factors. We're just saying we need to then put more of our attention towards addressing societal factors as the main causes. Because we realize that someone who is suffering from trauma, that because they were raped, can get help from those factors, right? They're still going to get treated. We're not saying they're not going to get treated. But after they get helped, we still need to make sure that the society that they go back into, the environment that they go back into, the economy that they go back into does not bring them back to a state of depression, does not trigger those depression issues that they were currently facing. So what we want to deal with, or what we want to solve in this debate, is the issue of mental health challenges, right? We want to make sure that our patients don't increase in number, right? We want to make sure that our patients get permanent solutions. So we need to create environments and societies where they don't get to go back and then relapse. Thank you.
That was the Prime Minister stating her case. Up next, we have the Leader of Opposition.
Ladies and gentlemen, a philosopher once said, society starts with an individual. Firstly, I'm going to define the key terms. Social factors, these refer to the broader socio-economic, cultural, and environmental conditions that can influence mental health and well-being. Examples being poverty. Now, individual factors, these refer to the personal characteristics and experiences and histories that can shape an individual's mental health, such as genetics and childhood trauma. Now, while I agree with the social factors, that social factors play a crucial role in stopping mental health issues, I don't believe we can dismiss the importance of individual level factors. Mental health is a complex interplay between the two, and addressing only one side of the equation will lead to an incomplete and potential ineffective approach. Now, we cannot overlook the significance of individual factors in addressing the causes and consequences of mental health issues. Focusing solely on socioeconomic factors such as poverty, inequality, neglects the complex interplay between personal experience, genetics, and environmental influence that contribute to mental health. By prioritizing social factors over individual factors, we risk oversimplifying the complexities of mental health and ignoring the unique needs and experience of individuals. Moreover, this approach may lead to one size-fits-all solution, which can be ineffective and even harmful. Instead, we should adopt a holistic approach that considers both societal and individual factors, recognizing that mental health is shaped by a dynamic interplay of influences. By doing so, we can develop more effective personalized interventions that address the root and causes of mental health that promotes meaningful recovery. Now, firstly, research has clearly demonstrated that individuals, factors like genetics, neurochemistry, and past trauma can significantly predispose certain people to developing mental health conditions, regardless of their social environment. For example, someone with a family history of depression or past history or abuse may be at higher risk of developing clinical depression, even in the absence of obvious societal level stressors. Secondly, even if when societal factors do contribute to mental health challenges, as individuals, unique psychology, individuals have unique psychology, coping mechanism, and resilience can still play a pivotal role in determining their mental health outcomes. Two people facing familiar socioeconomic hardships may have vastly different mental health trajectories based on their personal resources and responses. Therefore, overly emphasizing social factors can inadvertently reinforce a sense of powerlessness and external locus of control, whereas individuals often have agency and capacity. Thank you.
The leader of opposition has spoken. Deputy Prime Minister, please take center stage.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And as been previously stated, I am the Deputy Prime Minister of the government. Now, before I begin, I'm going to begin with rebuttals, starting by stating that society is greater than an individual, and society will always determine the status quo of how we treat each other in this world. The individual cannot be the one who is prioritized when the individual doesn't matter. Society has always made its choices regarding what the majority thinks, and regardless of that fact, it will always be society before an individual. And as well, I would like to highlight that this debate is not about disregarding the individual factors, but rather prioritizing fixing society to create a world where once individual factors that affect mental health have been dealt with, a person can enter society without facing any discrimination or challenges which could possibly bring relapse or worsening their mental health case, which they're already dealing with. Now, my speech is mainly going to be focused on the relationship between mental health issues and the societal factors that affect it, with this world becoming a mainly capitalist consumerist nature, with this world's capitalist consumerist nature starting to create a situation where people's worth can only be determined by their wealth, meaning that a person who hasn't accumulated a certain amount of wealth cannot be found as a person who is important, and this can lead to detrimental effects of their mental health. In essence, we're trying to say this world with its new nature of capitalism, consumerism, and growing wealth has given people pressure to achieve, which constantly leads to them struggling with their mental health. This has led to a lower standard of living, mainly due to poverty, lack of quality education, and other issues, meaning that you can't provide for your family, advance yourself in society, or even pay for the leisure which is expected to help your mental health issues. How now can this be fixed? Well, most of these people who are affected are people of lower socioeconomic status. Now, who are these people? These are people who struggle, who do not have much money in their world, and people who aren't part of major society who end up being abandoned. How are they abandoned, and how can this be solved? Now, we can improve the healthcare sector by bringing more accessible, quality healthcare for all, as many people suffer from mental health by facing sick family members they cannot help, facing losing family members because the healthcare they had was either not quality or they didn't even have enough money to send the person who was in trouble to the clinic. Now, the next major point in this issue is social discrimination and stigmatization of mental health issues. Society, as it currently stands, stigmatizes mental health issues, with many people who suffer from depression, especially in Africa, being told that their depression is nothing but fantasy, a fallacy, something which they can get over with. In essence, where they say the best way to deal with depression in an African child is to beat it out of them. Stigmatization has also led to people who try to open up about their mental health issues not being able to speak to their friends or family, not being able to share what is going on. And this has now led to people who have already either overcome their mental health issues which they face due to individual factors or mental health issues they had from other situations as well, now worsening or coming back, or people developing new mental health issues because they're stuck in a society which doesn't allow them to maintain their best selves, a society which doesn't prioritize their mind or what they think. This will constantly lead to more issues such as depression, anxiety, bipolar, and the likes. In conclusion, what we're saying in this debate as the opening government is that we're not disregarding the individual factors, but rather we're focusing and prioritizing socio-economic factors and social factors to create a society and a world where when one is sick, they come back and come into a world where they can become a better person every day. Thank you.
That was the Deputy Prime Minister. Up next, we have the Deputy Leader of Opposition. Please take center stage.
Okay, panel. Okay, while it is true that socioeconomic status and other social factors or societal factors play a major role in mental health, and we can't ignore we can't ignore the unique neurobiological and psychological vulnerabilities that faces some individuals, right? Okay, so what are we looking at? This house prefers to focus on societal factors rather than addressing the causes and consequences. Opposed to individual factors when addressing the causes and consequences of mental health. Okay, so what is this world looking like? We're looking at a world where we are having the society that we already have, and we're focusing on it and saying that individuals, we are now not necessarily neglecting them, but you're saying that we will focus more on the society. So when we're looking at problems that we are facing as human beings, in as much as we have these societal factors that are like, for example, we have the effect of having changing in currency. You know, one day you're in RTGS, now you're in ZIG, right? But then that will be causing you problems. But then you have to understand that there are underlying factors that actually happen for an individual. So I'm pretty sure we all know when during like elections we're having one of the parties saying no one left behind, right? So they are now realizing that we have been focusing on these socio-economic problems for a long time. Now we are realizing that we need to focus on the individual part. Why are we saying this? We are saying that at some point, in as much as this world is trying to prefer focusing on societal factors, we would prefer that we also focus on the individual factors more than just trying to prioritize. This is not a one-size-fits-all kind of way, right? We cannot exist in a world where we are just saying just because this society has issues like this, so everyone in an umbrella term is going to be existing in such a world. So we are now creating a world. What are we doing? Instead of just focusing on social, societal factors, we have to look at how there's individual agency, we have personal experience, we have stigma, we have limited scope, we have lack of personal accountability, right? That comes when someone is not being prioritized. So for a society to work, we have to look at the individuals, right? So we are existing in a world where these individuals are in a society, but they're now focusing on societal problems and not really looking at how this individual is experiencing these traumas and all that. It's going to be problematic, right? So now we are looking at this. We cannot forget or even deny the fact that we have genetic and neurochemistry problems that also come with a person, right? Neurobiology saying that we have all these imbalances in our bodies, right? So being having these imbalances, right? We have things like depression, schizophrenia, and all that, right? So that can, even without the underlying problems that we'll be facing socially, those problems can also affect you as an individual, and some of them will not be addressed if you're doing a one-size-fits-all kind of perspective where we are looking and focusing more when you're looking at the social sectors. So now we're at a point where we now need to look at how we can help each other. Instead of doing all these other things, just we have more improved like facilities where an individual is going to be helped so that we can make a better place with this, I think.
The Deputy Leader of Opposition has spoken. Let's hear what the Member of Government has to say.
Okay, panel, I think first of all, it's important for us to get clarity on why exactly we prefer a world where we prioritize tackling socio-economic factors rather than the individual factor, because we don't get much of that from opening half of the debate. Opening half of the debate, particularly opening opposition, tell us about how exactly addressing only one side will lead to an ineffective approach, right? But then we're going to tell you in our extension why exactly we think that on our side of the house, we address both sides, right? We address both the society and we make lives better for also the individuals that they have their own personal problems, right? And then we think that opening opposition also downplays the effects of society on personal problems, right? And we're going to analyze why this is so. First of all, we're going to tell you about the reasons why we think it's better for us to prefer to try to solve society first of all, right? Or to say we're going to prioritize solving society. That doesn't mean we're neglecting the individuals that have their own personal problems, right? We're going to tell you why we think that as a government, with government institutions, with NGOs and ministries of health and so forth, right? We think it's important for us to say we're going to do something that we can practically achieve, right? We say it is in mandate with our objectives as a government, as organizations, right, and as ministries to create a better society for people, where we think that at the end of the day, due to the vast differences that people have, right, in terms of the problems that they face, in terms of their own mental capacity, right, it's difficult for you to say you're going to tailor solutions for each and every problem that each and every single individual is going to face. But we think that when you address social and economic problems, right, you attend to more urgent matters, right? What does this do? We think that it reduces the effects of like the ripple effects of things like mental health, which people suffer from within today's society. Why is that so? We think that in today's society, there isn't why we have things like drug abuse, why we have things like gender-based violence, why we have things like domestic violence happening, right? We think the reason why we have a high crime rate is because of the fact that people can't take the society that they exist in, right? And they take out their frustrations on other people, right? We think they also take out their frustrations on things like abuse of drugs and so forth, right? We think at the end of the day, it is the mandate of the government and the ministries and organizations to try to reduce all of those ripple effects that we get from a failure to address those kind of problems that we face in society. Why is this so? We think that the idea that individuals within a society tell you that, you know what, we're all facing the same problem. As such, you can't be telling us that you are depressed, right? You need to be a man, you need to be strong, you need to be a woman, you need to take care of your kids and so forth, right? You are going to be dying on the inside because at the end of the day, we feel that you're someone who's suffering, right? Because of these particular problems that you're facing. And we think that you can't open up. Why? Because society tells you that it's not good, it's not like normal for you to say you are depressed as a man, or for you to say that you're facing these problems, right? As a mother or whatsoever, right? And we think this is the major problem within society. Why? We think it takes away accountability from government institutions, right? Because at the point in time at which we say we're going to focus on like the individual reasons why someone faces mental problems, right? It takes away from the idea that the government is also to blame for creating a society in which people cannot live happily, right? We think we achieve greater utility on our side of the house when you also tell you that as a society, right, as organizations, as a community, when you say we're going to address the socio-economic problems that exist and that we've seen within society, right, we're also better able to engage within society. When we take up action and you say we're going to donate books also whatsoever to the people to help them better be educated within society and alleviate the problems that they are facing, right? We're better able to engage with the society, we're better able to engage with the people, and through that process, we can also analyze people that also have extra problems that they face on their own, and we can also help them, right? Rather than trying to say, okay, fine, individuals who are facing individual problems, come forth and tell us what they are, right? People don't have that sense of trust. People can't just feel free to open up because you just said they should do so, right? But when you try to first show action that you're interested in the social, in the mental well-being of these individuals, right? We think that they're able to actually trust you better, and you're actually able to deal with the mental problems that individuals face and that also the society faces. And we think that this is our goal at the end of the day as a government, as individuals within society, and we don't try to downplay the ideas of how mental health is something that everyone suffers from, and it's not only unique to people with biological or whatsoever problems that we're getting from opening opposition, right? We think this is important for us to understand within this debate, and we've never been more proud to propose. Thank you so much.
That was the member of government stating his position in the matter. And up next, we'll have the member of opposition. Please, the floor is yours.
So, panel, the problem that we have from the whole government bench is generally how they frame what mental health is all about. Because they come and tell us from the opening government, what you get is the rise of relapses and the rise of unemployment and poverty. These are the major causes of mental health issues. They come and tell us how, at the end of the day, people are suffering, but they don't really tell us when we say people are suffering from mental health issues, what exactly are we talking about? They keep beating about the bush and tell us how we need to create more employment. Now, let me show you how, at the end of the day, when it comes to creating more employment, social factors do play a part. To that part, we concede. But when it comes to specifically dealing with mental health issues, it fails to then address the issues. We come and tell you that mental health issues are a personal journey that someone goes through. It is a journey that is a continuous journey, that is not a destination like they've come and tell us in this debate. That by creating employment, by somehow trying to mitigate poverty and all those things, therefore, we have managed to solve mental health issues. Now, let me tell you what is so problematic about that. We come and tell you that they come and portray the poor people as the only people who are affected by mental health issues. We come and tell you that there are billionaires who are still crying in bed because they feel so alone in this world. We come and tell you that even the people who have made it in society still feel depressed. And those are mental health issues that we are talking about, that they've been running away. They failed to tackle that issue, where they come and run and talk about how it's only the poor people who have no employment, who are in poverty, who are affected by mental health issues. We come and tell you that as an individual somewhere in Chimanimani who is an LGBT member of the community, we come and tell you that that has nothing to do with poverty, that has nothing to do with employment, but because it is a personal journey that they're going through. Therefore, this is where we say employment and eradicating poverty work when talking about societal factors, but when it comes to specifically mental health issues, it fails to meet the requirements that we want. What we come and tell you here is side closing opposition. We come and tell you that we believe that societal factors are a destination, right, which already goes against what we claimed, what we say mental health issue is all about. Because we come and tell you that mental health issue is a journey, right? And we come and tell you that your proposed solution is a solution that proposes a destination that says once we create employment for you, therefore we eradicate mental health, which is flawed to say. Because we come and tell you that because mental health issues is a journey whereby you take baby steps to reach where you want to go. We come and tell you that by us going once in a year holding banners to say all men suffer from mental health issues, or all men can be victims to rape, we come and tell you that is not enough. That is not enough, because to congregate once in a year to celebrate men being bold enough to admit that they're suffering from depression solves the problem. We come and tell you that that is not the solution that we bring up on this debate. What we also come and tell you, we come and tell you that even individual factors bring about what we call a change in perception. Because we come and tell you that women who have survived in their marriages for 20 years, being abused by their husbands, but still choose to stay in those marriages, it's because of the lack of the individual connection that they need to be shown. We come and tell you that society has continuously failed to address such issues. Because we come and tell you that in a situation such as Africa, women still believe that it is normal to be beaten by a husband, because you don't want to be deemed as a person who ran away from marriage because you're having squabbles with your husband. And that is what we are solving this debate. That when we address individual factors, when we address things that affect individuals specifically, therefore we manage to solve the issue to do with mental health. We're not here to solve poverty. We're not here to economically develop Zimbabwe, but we're here to deal with personal issues such as mental health issues. With this, we've never been proud to report.
And that was the member of opposition stating his case. Up next, we have the government whip.
Panel, I think what we need to understand about this motion is that socioeconomic factors consist of individuals' way of living and interaction, and they determine their position in society. There are plenty, but they are also inseparable, and they're an integral part of the ultimate conclusion or decision to what is the quality of your life at the end of the day. Are you happy? Are you fulfilled or not? And because also, most of what people need and want are in the socio-economic factors, and they affect everyone, even though they are different. They are universal like that. What is important to note is they are the determinants of personal problems. The problem in this debate is we have opening opposition that claims that by this we are dismissing individuals and addressing in one side motion. I do not get how, because socio-economic factors are everything. Then we have closing opposition that tells us about billionaires and how women are staying in abusive marriages and attribute that as personal, when the real reason why people are staying in abusive marriages is because of social pressure. So everything at the end of the day goes back to socio-economic factors. As a government, we would prefer to attend to more urgent and tackle matters from the grassroots, because statistically, mental health issues stemming from personal circumstances are less than mental health issues that are stemming from social factors, and we're taking the stance of solving this from a wider and effective impact, because this way we solve more problems, bigger problems, and in less time. And the most pressing human rights causes and consequences of our time are caused and determined by socio-economic factors such as social media, depression, such as poverty, unemployment, but to cite a few. How are we going to do this? How we are going to achieve this is an important question in this debate, because we think that this is a holistic approach, and at the end of the day, we are going to engage with the people and identify people with detrimental personal factors that affect their health. It does not necessarily follow that if we are focusing on something for a certain time, then we shun away from all the other things. And as my co-speaker stated, we think that individuals exist in a lot of so many intersectionalities. And because of the variety of personal circumstances and individuals leading to an unhealthy mind, we think it would be unpractical, it would be costly, and it would be time-consuming if we focus on individuals, because we will need to be specific. We will need to focus on individuals, then specify to men and women, then specify to pregnant women, then specify to people living with disabilities, then specify to people living with albinism, because those are all different intersectionalities that people exist in and personal circumstances that affect their mental health. And the list of these intersectionalities is inexhaustible, and this will drive more inequalities, because we now have to adopt a yardstick again to measure whose personal circumstances should we put first and at the expense of whose. Our approach tackles mental health from the grassroots, because social factors are determinants of personal factors, and this is why we win this debate. And also because we differ from opening government, just because unlike them, we do not wait for the results of a problem to be produced, but we address this matter from the grassroots, which is social and economic factors. With this, we've never been proud to propose.
The government whip has spoken. Let's now hear what the closing opposition whip has to say.
as we close this debate, we feel like the government does not really understand what their social effects have to this economy. It is not really about the society that we are looking at, but we are looking at economic factors that we're saying that people are bad and will always be bad. People rape, people bully, and you can't really bring to the extent and say that even if there is money, even if we employ, even if we have other incentives that can solve social economic factors, we can bring a solution to say that yes, there will be a difference. So we come and tell you that the social factors, they do not offer consistency in the journey because they have a destination. When they have a destination, we say that if someone rapes someone, they'll say that they will take them to jail. That's the destination. What about me personally? Look at a girl. There is Priska who reported a case whereby there was robbery in the house. She fought for her life because she was about to be raped. Due to that, she was raped. They came, they helped her, they told her that she's going to be fine. They checked her whether she has the STIs and everything. But at the end of the day, she still faces the trauma of what's happening in her life. Because we come and tell you that a personal experience is a step by step. It's like a child who is learning how to walk. They don't just start walking all of a sudden, but everything happens step by step because it is a journey. We come and tell you that when it is a personal experience, we feel like no one understands you. We tell you that there needs to be a rise of people who are therapists, who are there to look at personal aspects, because what affects person A and what affects person B are totally different things. We look at a situation where one is raped by their father and where one is raped by a total stranger. Those are different circumstances. These people are totally different. They face this trauma in different ways. So we come and tell you that these people need to be treated in a different way and in a way that is seemed best and fit for them. Secondly, we come and tell you that there is also something called childhood trauma. If there is childhood trauma, someone experienced a personal childhood trauma, they keep on thinking about it. So we tell you that if we come here and we have some therapists that are there to personally look at these people, we tell you that these will solve a lot of problems in the society. We also tell you that these problems that are happening personally, this is why we have suicidal matters. The society can stand there with banners and say that if you are raped or something, come and report, go to the police. But the whole process is so long. The whole process is so traumatizing. You may never know what that person is really going through, their emotions. We are trying to tell you that this is a very intimate situation. It's personal. It's about who I am. It's not about everyone else in the society. It's about what happened to me in my life. It's not about the next person. It's not about the society, because the society is the same society that is shunning people away. When we look at someone, if I was to stand up and say that I'm an LGBTQ+, people in the society will literally look down upon me. Personally, I'm hurt. My feelings are hurt. And I'm looking at myself and I'm thinking, how do I fit into the society? When I do not fit into the society, I can even trend to end up committing suicide. That's why we tend to have high death rates. If we're having these high death rates, which means that our economy, as we look at it in a point in time, is already deteriorating. And we come and tell you that let's compare a world where the society solves these problems and a world that is taking care, a world that is intimate, a world that is caring for everyone individually to find out who they are, a world that says, you know what, you cannot go through this on your own. We are there for you. No matter any day, any time, we can solve this problem with you as we stand together. With this, we've never been so proud to oppose.
And that was the opposition whip, very proud to oppose. We will now leave this time for the judges to deliberate.
Right. Good day to you from the adjudication panel. Would like to commend the debaters for exploring the different avenues that this debate could go. And before proceeding further, I'd like to give the call that we came up with and then get to the feedback on why we thought certain teams ranked above other certain teams. So, unfortunately, in fourth position, we have opening opposition. In third position, we had opening government. In second position, we had closing government. And in first position, we had closing opposition. As a panel, what we prioritized the most was, in such a complex debate, the team that would win the debate is one that characterizes what world would have less mental health issues best. We think both sides of the house could make reasonable claims to what could work better, but we think a world where a team helps us imagine better what a world with less mental health issues would look like would win the debate. So from opening government, for instance, from opening opposition, why we brought you least within the context of the debate, we did value your contribution to the debate on individual urgency, lack of personal accountability, imbalances. We think in as much as those arguments made sense within the debate, but the scale at which those arguments were explored comparatively with real-world examples kind of fell short even in the opening half of the debate, because your opening opponents do a good enough job in creating a context in which everything that you argue for, like personal accountability, what it actually looks like in the real world is if you get rid of unemployment, you get rid of ABC, less people are less likely to be depressed, and that world has less depressed people. We think within the opening half of that context, we think we got better characterization of what that looks like. The biggest contention in the debate was two ways. It was between second and third and first and second. How did we differentiate between the two teams? In as much as we did buy a lot of your contextualization, we think the conclusions at which you arrived at were stuff that ended up coming from your closing. For instance, the idea that when government creates better situations within society, less people are less likely to be in situations where they could get depressed. You raised the argument, but the conclusion of the argument came from this side, to say that if we are prioritizing it at an individual level, we remove the mandate from government. We think that idea itself was something that was more meaningful because they helped us imagine what the world would look like when the government or the state is not taking an initiative to say that this problem is a social problem and is not an individual problem. We think in as much as you highlight it, but how you tie the ribbon around it and make it more believable and contextualize it is something that we get from this side of the house. We also got a more nuanced analysis of how people exist in toxic situations and why things like policies can be able to fight those particular type of things, or how improving things socially can be able, from a community level, can be able to engage a lot of those things. What we got, however, from closing opposition was a counterfactual to that, which we do not think that the team that we're debating against adequately engaged. The idea that depression, firstly, is a personal journey that is continuous and ongoing, that at a point at which you solve social issues, can you say that everyone in society does not have mental issues? We think that that context might not necessarily be holistically true, but was important enough within the context of the debate because it was a context that was not argued upon, first and foremost. Secondly, the idea that, for instance, how both gov benches characterized upward social mobility, for instance, as employment, even though there could have been more low-hanging examples that could be used to win the debate, made it easier for them to say, well, if you are saying we make people less poor, we make people happier, they come and say poor people can be happy, rich people can be depressed. How then do you engage within that particular context? We don't think we got enough engagement from closing government, in particular, to maybe they could have argued the extent, maybe they could have argued that, other people live outside the confines of what normal people live through. I don't know, there could have been different things that as a government you could have been able to, in advance engage or retrospectively engage what they offered. What we do say, however, from closing opposition is in as much as the arguments made sense and the responses made sense, we did feel that there were a few examples that another team could have been able to take advantage of. For instance, you're talking about women that are abused that still stay in marriage. We think as closing government, you could have been like, yes, if we create laws that are stricter on women abuse and things, we're still on our side of the house and they can engage some of those things and make them less likely to take place. So we think in as much as this was a good debate, there were still holes in all sides of the debate. There were still positives in all sides of the debate, but within the context of the characterization of the debate and a world that you can imagine where there are less mental health issues, we think the case that stood with least holes at the end of the debate was from closing opposition. That's our call. For personal feedback, you can approach us after the debate. Congratulations on getting so far and good luck for the rest of your debates. Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of our debate. Thank you to the judges and well done to the participants. This is the Speak and Solve initiative, and I am your debate mistress, Ms. Jones. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, goodbye.